I was curious to ask Krishnan a little more about this. Uh, Traditional marketing seems to be running smooth, Krishnan. And the typical question when I speak to a head of marketing, a CMO, is we already have this engine, we've got these agencies, we've got all these people running marketing for us. How are you going to do anything different? I know we talk about thought leadership quite a bit, but I just want your help to crystallize that thought leadership aspect a little more as to what is it that we do and how it is differentiated from the BAU marketing that teams are running. And Ashish, I'll come back to you with specific examples.
Sure.
On this.
So again, it's all in the math. So you look at B2B, any B2B industry, and I'm going to generalize here, but the math will largely be true. Study P&Ls. You'll find that maybe 1 to 3% will be marketing spend. Okay. And you will find anywhere between 15 to 25% is SG&A spend.
Correct.
So the spend on the sales infrastructure in a B2B organization is typically 10 to 15x. What is the total spend in marketing? So what does that end up creating? And the other trap that many B2B companies fall into is sales and marketing are not seen as, let's say, continuous engines. They are actually in somewhat seen as competitive engines. So sales also generates demand. In fact, sales typically generates far more demand than marketing for obvious reasons. Yeah. They are closer to the client, etc. And marketing is out there on the fringe, trying their best to generate demand by largely focusing on the feature functionality of the product they are selling. And structurally also you'll find in B2B organizations, most marketing organizations are product segmented in some fashion. They are not customer segmented. So customer segmentation is sales, marketing is typically product or go-to-market kind of segment. So what happens, what is the one vector which can unify this entire front office is when you come future back or outside in. So if you say here is the digital twin or here is the sustainability initiative or here is 5G and you build a point of view around it, you can now impact demand created by the marketing channel and the sales channel simultaneously. Because fundamentally what you've created is a conversation that is of interest to the customer. No customer is interested in your product. Unless of course they are specifically at that time searching for your product, which would narrow your potential audience ridiculously. So the only way to do this is strike a conversation of high interest and then start the journey of engagement and qualification in order to create demand. If you start that journey early, when it enters your pipe, it will be qualified demand. If you start that journey much later, maybe that conversation is actually being struck by a salesperson, then a lot of the junk, so to say, has flown through your pipe, and that's when you hear the story. So I think what you need to look at, when you talked about so-called traditional marketing, is what's your MQL to SQL efficiency, and what does it take to multiply that by 4x, and that is where the the power of thought leadership can play out. Ashish, you had something to say there.
Yeah, I think 2 points that I'd like to add, and possibly through a couple of client stories. I think especially when clients are looking at net new logos in end-use industries, for example, which they are less familiar with, a deep understanding of what are the unmet needs of customers, coupled with what could trigger a switch to their solution. And when you start packaging that and layer that either on top of the product feature based stuff that they're already doing, or replacing the product feature base to customer benefit, we're finding that quite powerful. Right? So customers increasingly, for example, are requesting us for an independent white paper on a particular, let's say, use case for which their solution might be very suitable. And why is it, what about that use case is changing, and how would their solution be a better fit than existing solutions, right? So that is clearly one of the ways in which we're supporting demand gen, right, with clients, especially with net new logos, I would say. The second piece is that in general, for you to have effective conversations and for you to raise the quality of MQLs, what do you need? You fundamentally need rich, high quality content about the market. That's all that we do, right?
Yeah.
The knowledge store platform has content with which you can shape your podcasts, you can conduct webinars, you can have a dialogue with your clients, you can use that for standing in front of 1,000 people and delivering your point of view, and that's what raises your stature with customers and gets you in front of.
In fact, this is a very interesting point, right? When he brought in knowledge store, see, this man-machine combination is an extraordinary thing. So let me take, let me be very hardcore about this. As a marketer, when you are preparing a white paper, it's not as if you want to spend a huge amount of time doing the real content of the white paper, right? Your primary interest is what's your proposition attached into the white paper.
Yeah.
Now, what Ashish just described is with the knowledge store and the man-machine combo, the knowledge store spits out the first version of the white paper instantaneously. Now, you put the man on top to really work on packaging the white paper beautifully, attaching your value proposition to it. So, suddenly, instead of looking at a month to do a white paper, you are doing something in days. And therefore, the frequency of content in thought leadership, one of the obstacles to doing thought leadership marketing is just getting to the content is a huge investment of both money and time.
True.
So that's one thing that that this makes possible. The other thing that we should look at is markets and markets dog fooding this concept. Today, one of our largest sources of leads and demand are 3 properties that we run. One is a digital explainer series called Around the Corner, and I'm sure you can see the link. And that explainer series, in just 6 weeks of launch, we have had about 200,000 views on the films that we have launched there, and they are getting us fantastic leads. The second is a podcast we run called Disruption Dialogues. Again, massive views. Third is we are doing a web series called the New Economy series for exactly this 25 trillion of 21st century opportunity. How do you unlock it? In fact, Ashish drives that. These 3 things are effortlessly bringing us highly qualified leads because, as you said, the content is of great interest and people want to discuss what's going on. Simultaneously, we are seeing our sales teams pick up this content and use it heavily in their client conversations, which was the point I made about marketing and sales coming together because you are driving through thought leadership.
Yeah. So effectively, we are looking at a discussion which is about taking growth all the way from the boardroom right down to the field and the marketing teams, so that these companies can grow at a faster growth trajectory than what they could have ideally done.
I think very well said, Vinod. I would say from the boardroom to every market facing employee. That really is the virtuous cycle of growth, and that's what we're talking about.
And the time to think growth is now.